Hey, I want to show you something.
Questions, though, are hard to avoid.
The Prime Minister misled Parliament, Minister.
You endorse law-breaking in Cabinet, Priti Patel.
The latest pictures revealed by ITV News have increased the pressure. This was a leaving do which the Prime Minister attended in November 2020, when people were not allowed to mix indoors.
I can tell you once again that I certainly broke no rules.
Today I've received a fixed penalty notice from the Metropolitan Police relating to an event in Downing Street on the 19th of June 2020, and let me say immediately that I've paid the fine and I once again offer a full apology.
I don't know your reaction to that video, but for me, I was pretty annoyed. When I first saw this in the news, I got pretty angry and I thought actually I could probably do a better job than Boris Johnson. In fact, a lot of us probably thought that, and some of us might be able to do a better job. But that's not the focus of this video. We're not here to look at the mistakes of leaders and world leaders. We're actually here to look inward at ourselves. See, we all lead in some capacity, whether it's in our family life, our friend groups, in our jobs, whatever it might be. And even if none of that tracks with you, you still lead a life that others see. And more importantly, you lead a life that God sees. So the main question of this Equip video is this: how can I lead as a flawed person in my ordinary life? So let's talk about this. So as we start to look into this topic, actually what I want to do first is just look at the streets of Paisley and talk to some people and be like, hey, what actually do you think makes up a good leader? So what we're going to do is we're going to watch a little video just now. So let's watch it. Based on that leader question, what's a few good characteristics of a leader?
Power but fair, but be strong-headed, level-headed.
Like actually caring about the people.
Someone who is good at talking with the team, tries to accommodate everyone's needs, and has clear understanding of what they want.
Confidence, charisma, assertiveness, wholesome vibes.
Someone who listens to the people. I think the will to change stuff. So you'd have to have a really strong will to make sure like this is what I want and you guys are gonna eventually listen to me.
I don't know, someone who can make a decision, stick with it and be fair.
Integrity, following through on your promises, being kind.
I think many of these characteristics that were mentioned are actually really good for a leader, but also they're actually really good for just your average person in general. In fact, one of the ones I think was of great importance was humility. And this is something that's often lacking or actually even misunderstood. So let's start by looking at what is humility. All right, we're in the uni. Let's go find a dictionary. All right, let's see what the dictionary says. Oh, this is the French dictionary. We couldn't find a dictionary, so we're gonna Google it. So there we have the dictionary definition of Google about what humility is, but I want to bring it to a Christian perspective. Here's a Christian definition of humility. Humility leads you to view others through the lens of Christ, to serve others with the gentleness of Christ, and to lead others with the grace of Christ. You see, research shows that a humble leader and humble individuals are less likely to harm others and actually more likely to care and prioritize the others' needs. And we see this in Jesus. We see this as he cared and prioritized his disciples. And we've seen that people on the streets of Paisley, the things they look for in a good leader, and we see that in Jesus as well. And so what we're going to do just now is look at a little story of where Jesus shows this humility. He got up from the meal, took off his outer clothing, and wrapped a towel round his waist. After that, he poured water into a basin and began to wash his disciples' feet, drying them with the towel that was wrapped around him. He came to Simon Peter, who said to him, "Lord, are you going to wash my feet?" Jesus replied, "You do not realize now what I'm doing, but later you will understand." "No," said Peter, "you shall never wash my feet." Jesus answered, Unless I wash you, you have no part with me." "Then, Lord," Simon Peter replied, "not just my feet, but my hands and my head as well." Jesus answered, "Those who have had a bath need only to wash their feet. Their whole body is clean. And you are clean, though not every one of you." For he knew who was going to betray him, and that was why he said not everyone was clean. When he had finished washing their feet, he put on his clothes and returned to his place. "Do you understand what I have done for you?" he asked them. "You call me teacher and Lord, and rightly so, for that is what I am. Now that I, your Lord and teacher, have washed your feet, you also should wash one another's feet. I have set you an example that you should do as I have done for you." In the Middle East, open-toed sandals were all the rage. They were the fashion. And so it meant that as you were walking along the roads, you would pick up a lot of dirt and dust and sweat, and you would get to the house that you've been invited to, and the servant would wash your feet. Now in this passage, it seems like there is no servant. And instead of the disciples going, "Oh, I'll wash the feet," or "I'll wash the feet," they don't. Instead, they're arguing about who's the greatest. And Jesus, he's the one that steps up. He's the one that gets on his knees and washes the feet of his disciples. The creator of the universe, the one who's been healing and doing miracles, who has authority to speak, he's the one that bends down on his knees and washes the feet of his disciples. The master steps forward and does the dirty job of the servant. A Jewish commentary on the book of Exodus suggests that Jewish slaves actually could not be required to wash the feet of others. It was so demeaning that it would actually be reserved for Gentile slaves, or actually women or children, or even pupils. A wife might wash a husband's feet. A child might wash a parent's feet. Rarely a disciple might honor a distinguished rabbi, but for a superior to wash an inferior's feet was unheard of. It was never ever done, but Jesus does it. Now, foot washing in anyone's context is a humbling and humiliating business. So when Jesus gets to Peter, Peter refuses to let Jesus wash his feet. He doesn't want his teacher and master to do such a job. This shows Peter's pride and his misunderstanding about what makes not only a good leader, but a good follower of Jesus. Now what gets me though, is that Jesus not only washes Peter's feet, but he also washed Judas's feet. He was willing even to wash the dirty feet of the one who was about to betray him. Jesus calls us, his followers, to go and do likewise. To go and be humble enough to get down on our knees and to wash off the dirt from our friends' feet, but also from our enemies' feet. If Jesus sets an example of humbling himself to serve, how much more should we, his followers, do so, rather than promoting our own self-importance? So how do we lead as flawed people in our ordinary lives? Well, how about doing what Jesus did? Pick up a bowl, fill it with water, and be willing to wash the feet of people you meet. I know, I'm not speaking literally here, of course, but actually sometimes washing feet can be a powerful thing. What I am saying though is, everyone you come across, look at them as someone that is made in the image of God. Look at them and see that you're not greater than them or think that you have more importance than them, but be willing to wash their feet. See that they have value. Now, even the feet of your worst enemy. Think about Jesus and Judas. He washed his feet. Now I want to share the story of someone who went and did what Jesus asks us to do. So let's look at this story. Now this person is someone that often goes unnoticed, unseen. Not many people know about them or actually know about the things that they did. And I want to tell you about this person. This person is the new dad who cleans up the sick off their crying baby's vest. Or the tired student who notices their tired mum and makes them a coffee. Or actually the elderly lady who takes time to check in on the struggling single mum of two. Or actually the uni student who takes the time to grab a coffee with their stressed out friend. You see, humility doesn't need to start when we're in a leading position. We all lead in some way or another. Humility begins in our ordinary life. And so, these things I've just mentioned, go and do them. Because Jesus calls us to go and do as he did. So, let's go and do it.